50,000! We did it! Hey, hello, thank you all for being here. I'm Oceans, Dennis, Ocean Man, however you want to call me, and we are here to celebrate 50,000 subscribers, which is an insane number. When I started my channel and my online career, I didn't really think I'd be this successful. I would have hoped that I would be successful, but you know how it is. You want to keep your expectations realistic, and you don't want to, get overly enthusiastic about things that might not work out. But it has worked out, and here we are at a ridiculous number that is still crazy to me. It's 2.5 times the population of the city I live in, so that's insane. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I mean, we are, but we're also here to talk about something else, namely your questions, because I am boring. This is a special, so let's answer some questions. I have them here on my phone, and I'll go through them. This video will have a lot of cuts because I'm a chaotic as fuck person, and this quarantine has made me insane. So if it jumps around a bit, please don't mind. It's really just because I probably butchered some pronunciation, or I just went on some tirade that had no meaning. Like, I might actually cut out this part out because this is actually kind of long. But yeah, let's get to the questions. Alright, first question from Ian, who's a good friend on Twitter. How much value do you put into plot holes or contrivances when evaluating a work? It depends. It really, really depends, because essentially a work can have a sort of budget on goodwill it has with me, where if it has done a lot of good things in the past and I have confidence in the author and the story's general quality, I will be pretty lenient with contrivances and plot holes as long as they end up not destroying the story completely. I also think that, the modern perception of plot and logic has very much kind of skewed people to over exaggerate the impact that plot holes have. Channels like Cinema Sins, of course, but also just general discussion has kind of shifted towards, oh, this has plot holes, so it is terrible. When really most of the time it's like, this has plot holes, which is kind of annoying, but in the grand scheme of things, does it really make a difference? And if the difference is small, and as I said, if the author and the work already have a history of handling these things very well, then I won't care too much. But it is definitely possible for it to really, really impact and ruin a certain story development, because of course, if something doesn't make sense and its lack of sense isn't obscured enough for you to not notice, then that will definitely impact your enjoyment. But it's one of those things where you can't really give out one blanket answer, because it's just something that differs so much from work to work. Like, as I've said in the past, I really don't give a shit about plot holes in JoJo, because JoJo has such a focus on its thematic relevance that even things like logic and plot are things to be molded around it. You can't be too rigid with these things. You need to have a certain flexibility in your approaches, because otherwise you're just gonna be way too reductive with certain stories. But I am not the authority. This is just kind of how I approach it. Oh, the question actually has a second part. Also, how do you know when you love something in a piece of fiction? Is it usually just a gut feeling, or do you analyze while you experience the work? Definitely a gut feeling. There are sometimes, some rare occasions, where I'm watching something and I'm immediately like analyzing in my head. I'm already like, oh, I could make a video on this. But the reality of the matter is that most of the time it's just a gut feeling, and you kind of have to do it like that, because art is something you have to both think about but also feel out, if you know what I'm saying. There has to be an emotional component to it. There has to be a gut feeling to it, because if your only interaction with art is analyzing, oh, it does this very well, and oh, this theme is very good, then that is, intellectually important, but also kind of emotionally empty. And that is a shame for something like art, which for the most part relies on the transference of emotions. Also, I'm sorry if some of these questions will get kind of long, but I like to ramble. This video might be 7 hours in the end. I have no clue. We'll see. This is a question by Ari, who's also a very good friend on Twitter. What's an anime/manga you love but haven't had the opportunity to talk much about or make a video on? Assassination Classroom. I fucking love Assassination Classroom. I remember I watched it during a very important time in my life, just around graduation from high school, so it hit pretty hard, but there's just not much to say about it anymore. I mean, I started rewatching it with my girlfriend recently, and I thought, okay, now I can finally make a video on it because now I am a YouTuber and I'm rewatching it, so it'll all be fresh. Then the quarantine hit, so yeah, it's kind of on hold, but I would really love to make a video on Assassination Classroom one of these days. It's one of those shows that's very, very dear to me, so yeah. The other Ari, who's also a good friend, what's a theme that'll make you immediately interested in a series/media? Death. Death is one of those themes that you never run out of things to say about it because it's just so omnipresent for us. And, you know, it's weird because it's one of those things that has been discussed ever since humanity has existed. The moment, you know, Ugnorg in his fucking cave in the Neolithic sat there and started writing stuff on the wall, from that moment onwards, human literature and writing has always been, to some extent, about death. Because it is just the one thing that every human who's ever been born will have to deal with. You know, everything else is like whatever. You know, you can say, oh, these people didn't deal with war, these people didn't deal with peace, these people didn't deal with love or whatnot. Everyone will have to deal with death. And I think that makes it a very, very interesting topic because of this wealth of thought surrounding it. And it's also just a cool fucking theme, in my opinion. What genre of anime do you find the most appealing? Shonen. Battle shonen specifically. I don't know if you've noticed from the things I talk about or the things I focus on, but I'm a bit of a meathead. And I don't know, I just prefer stories with superpowers, with, you know, power systems, with cool fights. Which is, you know, weird considering, you know, the way I talk kind of implies that I'm some sort of try-hard intellectual when really I like seeing things go boom, but I also like to explain why them going boom is relevant, you know? But yeah, definitely Battle Shonen is my favorite genre, bar none. Like, I've been kind of getting into seinen, well, okay, seinen isn't a genre, it's a demographic, but I'm kind of getting into the darker, more mature genres like psychodrama and mystery thrillers, but you just can't beat shonen, Battle Shonen specifically. It just doesn't work. That is just the thing for me, because obviously that's also what I grew up on. And it'll always have a special place in my heart. If there's a genre that I really cannot get into, it's slice of life or sports. I can't. I tried very hard with sports. I didn't try quite as hard with slice of life, but it just isn't for me, so yeah. A classic question. How did you come about the name Oceaniz? Very simple. My real name is Dennis, the Turkish Dennis with a Z at the end, which is Turkish for sea, but can also be read as ocean. So I decided, okay, what do I do with my name? I take Dennis and ocean, and I combine them. Oceaniz. Super simple. What makes an anime a good anime to you? The same thing that makes any good piece of fiction, namely something that has an idea, has something it wants to communicate, commits to that, and does that properly and effectively and with a certain degree of elegance. And you know, this is very wishy-washy and it's not something concrete, but whatever is concrete in art. It's really just a matter of, can I understand what this piece of work wants to tell me, and does it tell that to me in a way that I can appreciate? That's basically the gist of it. Any plans to attend any conventions at some point? Not under current circumstances, of course. I don't know. I really wanted to go to stuff like Fantasy Basel or the conventions in Zurich, because those are the things obviously that are the closest to me. I don't know. I'm not a super social person, which is really weird because I'm loud and I talk a lot, and people always think I'm some sort of super extroverted guy, but I'm actually kind of introverted. So I don't know. I would love to go to some of the big conventions in the US, because I don't know, I just want to meet people. It's not again, which is not a really introverted thing to say, but I kind of want to see the like anime culture bloom and be completely free of stigma, you know. But that doesn't really exist here, and going to US is kind of a big deal because, you know, there is an entire ocean between us. But yeah, I would love to go to some conventions eventually, but of course right now that's not really gonna happen now, is it? Oh, that's from Ed. How long do you usually take to make a video / what's the process you go through? Okay, so my general schedule used to be that I would research and write on Mondays and Tuesdays, or already on Sundays if I knew it was going to be a big project. Then I would voice Wednesday mornings, because that's when I had time, and maybe get all the audio done, and maybe start on some of the editing already, and then edit all through it throughout Thursday evening and night. And then Friday and Saturday are basically my free days. Obviously this schedule was for when I was still at university. Now, with the lockdown, it's a lot more chaotic. It's basically whenever I have time and whenever I have motivation, I just do things, but my general schedule is still, you know, write and research on the first days of the week, have it voiced by Wednesday, and then just edit and shoot it out whenever it's done. Because my biggest weakness as a content creator is I have to edit things in like 1 or 2 goes. I cannot let things sit. That pisses me off so much, and I know it's such a bad character trait, but it's just how I am. I mean, that's why a lot of my videos end up having like slight editing mistakes that one could have easily checked if one, you know, weren't editing in the middle of the night, super tired because one is too stubborn to let an edit sit for a while. Yeah, that's definitely something I have to work on, and I've actually gotten better at it. I've consciously made the effort, like in the last like maybe 4 or 5 videos, to say, okay, it's midnight, I'm gonna go to bed, I'm not gonna try and push this video out, and I'm gonna edit the rest tomorrow. And I do think like the quality of the videos has gone up ever since then. Of course, depending on the size of the video, my process can also change drastically. If you think back to my Golden Wind video, that thing took months of both planning and work, and it's probably one of the biggest efforts I've ever put into anything in my life. So yeah, it's very variable, but generally, yeah. Mondays, Tuesdays, scripting, researching, Wednesday audio, Thursday edit. That's basically how I do it. Oh, follow-up question. Oh yeah, what editing software do you use to make videos? Premiere Pro. What do you consider mediocre? That's actually kind of hard, but if I had to summarize it, essentially, mediocre is that ugly middle ground between okay and terrible. It's that thing where it's not good, it's definitely not good, but it's also not bad enough to really warrant any second look. It's just something that's done poorly, but not terrible. It's difficult to say. It's like, it's not done badly, but it's also not good enough to be, you know, really considerable of any time and energy or analysis. It's just mediocre. There is no point in really looking at it. It's not worth a second look. That's, for example, what I felt about interspecies reviewers. Like, it's not terrible, but it's definitely not good. But it's not bad enough for me to really think about it too much. But it's definitely not anything I would want to spend more time on because it's good. Yeah, it's basically that. Mediocre is in many ways worse than bad because it isn't even bad enough. Like, it doesn't even do things enough for it to have any label like good or bad. It's just there. I don't know if that explanation makes sense, but then again, it is quarantine season. My brain is not working. Ass or tits? I started out as a tit dude, basically like any other teenager. I mean, you know, if you look at how media portrays that sort of stuff, you'll notice that there is kind of a bias towards tits, especially in anime. But as I grew older, I kind of just transferred myself into more of an ass man. So, yeah. Okay, there's an actual question here. What's your thoughts on the world building in JoJo? The world building in JoJo is okay. Like, I think it's not a big focus of the story, and therefore it is not like the most expansive thing. Obviously, other different parts do a better job at it. For example, I think part 5 has some pretty decent world building, specifically because like it has to establish Italy as its space, but it's very, very limited. Joe Jolian, from what I've read so far, is pretty good at that. Like, you do have a very strong sense of place, and one could say that part 4 was similarly good in that. But yeah, no, world building is definitely not a focus of JoJo in any extent of the word. Why are you so fucking handsome? Again, I think I answered this in the last question. I don't think of myself as particularly handsome. I definitely didn't used to think of myself as particularly handsome. It's really something that kind of came with YouTube, and it's really sweet. I appreciate it so much, but it's so difficult for me to understand why, because like, I don't know, I was never really of the impression that I was particularly handsome, but hey, thank you so much for the compliment. I appreciate it a lot. Do you play the Metal Gear Solid series? Yes, I love Metal Gear Solid. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time. And I mean, Metal Gear Solid 3 is in my top 4 games of all time, so yeah, no, I love Metal Gear. Because obviously this is the following question then. What did I think of Metal Gear Solid 5? I think I liked it a lot. I was kind of missing a lot of the plot, and I really wish that we would have gotten like Kojima's actual original vision for it, as opposed to, you know, the butchered product that Konami launched. But I liked it. I had a lot of fun with it. I remember, God, I was so hyped for that game at the time. It arrived maybe a day earlier in my post box, and I saw it. And I remember because that was right after a school festival we had, and I was tired as shit because we had partied into the night, and then on that morning I had to go out and clean up the place because it was our like shift. And then I come home at like 11 after, you know, basically no sleep, party day before. I come home and there's Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain a day early, and I swear to God, I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. I have never been this excited for a game, and I mean, you know, it was a fantastic game. My first playthrough, I was in love, and you know, of course, once you take a step back at it and you look, okay, what was this game actually like? What were the strong points and the weak points? I did realize that, of course, it wasn't as good as I thought, but it still has a very special place in my heart. All the Metal Gear games have, except maybe 4, because it's the one I have the least like connection with, even though that's like supposedly the best one. But no, 3 and 5 are the ones that I really have an emotional bond with, and I love the entire series, and I cannot wait for the day when Kojima inevitably buys the rights to Metal Gear back, because let's be real, that's definitely happening. What is the most controversial anime/manga opinion that you have? I have a few, and every time I mention them, people get very, very upset at me. But okay, since you asked, let's list a few. I don't like One Piece. I think it's too long. And this is coming from someone who read all the way up to Dressrosa. I am not a huge fan of Yoshiro Togashi, even though I think his work is really good, but I take a lot of issue with the way he treats himself and his release schedule. What else? Another One Piece opinion, I don't think the art is particularly great. It's just not an art style that I appreciate. Oh yeah, Boruto shouldn't exist. Literally has no meaning or reason to be in this world, but whatever. Oh yeah, the Culture Festival for My Hero Academia is one of the best arcs in the series, which I know a lot of people disagree with. Oh, another Hunter x Hunter opinion. The soundtrack of Hunter x Hunter is 50% good and 50% absolute dog shit, with one track in particular being one of the worst things in existence. Yeah, I think these are like the easiest ones to like explain here real quick. I have a few more, but I'll save them for later, because I'm sure we'll have more and more questions like that in the future, because people like the spice. Thanks for all your hard work. What do you look forward to on YouTube? Thank you for the first thing. And what do I look forward to on YouTube? Being able to do it full time. Like this is my calling. Like there's no two ways about it. It's something I've been very scared to admit to myself, because saying, oh, I want to be a YouTuber is kind of a risky proposition, especially in a country like Switzerland where the entire social norms are geared towards not standing out. So something like a YouTuber is unthinkable. But I really want to do this full time. This is one of the few hobbies that I've had in my life that have basically completely fulfilled me. And yeah, it compels me to work harder than I have for most things. So yeah, I look forward to being able to support myself doing something that I love, and I really hope that is something that happens eventually. Of course, life is complicated and things will go wrong. That's just how things are, but I really hope that eventually this becomes a sustainable source of income that I can completely devote myself to. Yeah, I mean, I just got a bit somber, or a bit, not somber, a bit serious, but yeah, this is what I want to do with my life. Like, no cap. If it doesn't work out, I have plan Bs. There's another question that I won't call out specifically, but there's one that asks me what I do besides YouTube. I'm an English student. I used to do psychology, but psychology has this huge exam that weeds out 70% of people because they don't have enough seats here in Switzerland, and I was part of the 70%. So now I'm an English major, and I'm studying towards becoming an English teacher, which I would also love doing. But currently, what I would definitely dream of doing is YouTube. And, thanks to milestones like these, 50K, that dream is becoming more and more palpable every single day. So, thank you so much, all of you. Most hated trope in anime/game/series, and why do you hate them? Okay. Burp. My most hated trope is the fake out death. And there is one very specific reason for it. And that's, you remember how I said that death is one of my favorite subjects in media? The best way to undermine that subject is to treat it as a reversible thing. Because when you start treating death as something reversible, you deflate it completely as a concept. Because the whole point of death is that it is an ending point. Something inevitable, something no one can escape. And if you kill a character, commit to it, because if you don't do it, you set a precedent, namely that death has no meaning in your story, which deflates most of the tension. Now, obviously, tension can be made through other means than just the peril of death, absolutely, but it is so frustrating when a series gives a character a really good send-off, and then they're not dead. One of the biggest offenders of this, by far, has to be fucking Yu Yu Hakusho, which actually is a series I love a lot, but oh my god, the fake out deaths in that shit drive me up the wall. It's insane how many times it does it. And it turns me into a very, very angry man. Are there any videos you want to make but believe they will not get enough traction to warrant the effort spent on them? No. And here's the reason why. I don't make videos to make money. I said before that I would love for this to become something sustainable, but at the end of the day, I don't want to sell out my soul just to, get to where I want. I want to get to where I want by making good content, and good content means things that I am invested in. And even if those things do not seem like the immediately lucrative thing to do, I will keep doing them. The newest video, how to analyze anime, it's doing terribly. Like, it's straight up tanked, but I don't care. Because at the end of the day, it's something I wanted to say. It's a resource I wanted to give people. And it's something I had a lot of fun doing. And that's why I will never stop making content I like. And that's also why I will immediately stop doing something if I don't like doing it. And that is, I can believe that is frustrating for viewers. I understand that. But at the end of the day, trust me, it would get very, very frustrating to see me do stuff that I'm not completely invested in. This is my channel, and this channel is my baby, essentially. And I will keep working hard to produce the content I want to produce. And whether or not that makes money or not is really out of my hands. I don't want to model my content around whether it's lucrative or not. I just want to say what I have to say. Of course, I do take certain things like reachability and availability and all that stuff into consideration, especially when I make thumbnails and titles and choose topics, but I never have and I never will can a video idea just because I think it won't do well, just like how I will never do a video idea that I hate but that I think will do well. Because if I wanted to do well, I could just do, weekly chapter reviews or something. Not that they are, not good content, but they're just something I wouldn't like doing, but that I know would probably do pretty well. Same with like episode reviews or like weekly stuff. I could, pump out a video every day, but knowing myself, that would probably become very, very low quality very quickly because I need a certain time and a certain like frame of mind to work. So yeah, but YouTube is both a job and a passion I'm trying to like balance between the two. Is it the smartest thing to do? Probably not, but it's the right thing to do. Because trust me, you would notice if I would start making content just for the money. Just like you would notice if I would start making any bumfuck ass idea without any consideration. There is a balance to be struck, but that balance is heavily skewed towards I want to do what I want to do. And that is basically it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you so much for participating in this channel. And thank you so much for your continuous support. As I said, it means the world to me because this really is what I want to do in life. This is my calling. And you are helping me achieve it. And I hope that as we keep doing this, you also get something out of it. You get the content you want. You get things that you find interesting. This is a two-way relationship between me and you guys. And, I am very proud and very happy to have you by my side for this. So, my name is Oceaniz. We are at 50,000 subscribers. And I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. We're now on the road to 100,000, which is incredible. Take care, stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye. God, this is the dumbest gag I've ever committed to.